guys, Rise here, bringing you Game 4 of White Ra versus Assem, the GoSuCoaching.com show match. $150 on the line, and right now, White Ra is actually looking to claim all $150 because he is up 3-0 at this point. We're on Game 4. This is a best of 9, though, and so clearly this is not too late for Assem to come back. And wow, finally getting something other than Terran, picking up the Protoss, and we're going to have a PvP match on our hands. I got to say, thank you to Assem for picking random, because we're not just watching all PvT or PvZ or PvP or whatever. So it definitely adds a little bit of a fun factor to the games that I cast. Whoop, burping up some beer. I'm just drinking Coors Light, if anyone's wondering. The cheap crap. But you know what? It was in the fridge, so it's good enough for me. Anyway, this is, of course, Blistering Sands, the Game 4 map that was in the map lineup. And I think next one we have is... I don't remember, actually, so I'm not going to talk about it. But I know that Assem has been practicing against Protoss, but having a lot of trouble finding a Protoss player to practice against. It's amazing how difficult it can be to find the race or the matchup that you need to practice for when it's right before a match. But anyway, looks like at this point, White Ra using the Chrono Boost on his economy, pumping out the probes a little bit early. And we're seeing the same coming from Assem, and very curious how this is going to work out. White Ra sending out the fairly early scout, obviously realizes that he's got to find out what race he's playing against to dictate his build. And, you know, against a lot of players, playing against a random could mess with your head, I guess. But White Ra is a very smart guy. I don't know if you've ever listened to his games or heard him talk before. He's actually done a couple of matches where he's commentated on post-game. And it's very interesting to hear his point of view on things. So worth checking out anyway. But really, I think that of all people that Assem could be facing, White Ra is probably one of the most prepared to go up against a random player, basically, for 9 matches, potentially. And really, I think that gives him a little bit of an edge over a random player, even because of that. But of course, Assem, if you didn't know, he's obviously the top of the Platinum ladder, otherwise he wouldn't be in the show match. Very, very capable player, and also, it's required of him to come up with strategies on the spot because of the same reason, because he's random. But he can have, I guess he can have builds up in his head ready to go and save for White Ra before the match faces off against anyone. But it doesn't matter anyway. Looks like second gas going up for Assem at this point. We're seeing the same thing from White Ra. So at this point, we got a pretty solid mirror matchup. Both making their cybernetics core. Let's go check out the income levels. Fairly even, although Assem, for whatever reason, he's got 1 or 2 ahead in probes. And yeah, that's going to give him a little bit of a boost on that economy. And you can see it in the income. But I don't know if that'll play too much of a role, but he is a solid probe ahead, and that's always nice. I think that had to do with the early scout that we saw from White Ra, for that matter, but you never know. Anyway, it looks like that Cybernetics core is finished for Assem, and as for White Ra, it looks like he is about to finish his, so he is slightly, ever so slightly behind, and he's making a Zealot, whereas we have not seen anything come out of the gateway for Assem yet, and a robotics facility going down for Assem. So it looks like he's not trying to hide the tech. He is basically showing White Ra his hand, but I guess he's not too worried about it either. And we are going to see Warp Tech being researched for at least for Assem, but also for White Ra. Very key build, a very key upgrade to have in a game like PvP. You want to be able to reinforce anywhere as quick as necessary. Both players continue to keep those scouts alive for as long as possible. Looks like the first Stalker is already out for White Ra, or I should say for Assem, and White Ra going to be able to follow that up shortly with one of his own. There we go. Both probes going to be sent out of the base or killed, one of the two. It looks like White Ra's may actually... No, it's not going to go for the escape. It's still in the base. I guess he's sacking the probe to just learn what he can. But it looks like he's about to go down, and same for Assem's probe. So at this point, we're starting to see some deviations as we're seeing a 4-gate build coming from White Ra. As soon as that probe died, he waited for that scout to go down, whereas we're going to see a robotics facility in 2-gate coming from Assem, and that's going to be a very interesting dynamic to see who's able to basically pull ahead with their builds. Sentries being made for White Ra at this point. That's certainly going to help block off this ramp and cause havoc later, but you know, I think that Assem will be able to be prepared for that. Warp Tech almost done for both players at this point. White Ra, it looks like he got an extra Chrono Boost on it as he started later but finished sooner, although I don't think that's going to make too big of a difference. One more Chrono Boost going off on the gate, the Cybernetics Core over here to finish up that warp tech research. And wow, White Ra being a little ballsy over here, putting down the proxy pylon and going for the destructible rocks. But it looks like Assem may have scouted that already. I don't know. If he can see, he can literally just barely see the attacks going off, but I don't know if he's paying attention to it. And so it's going to be one of those things that may be difficult to deal with. And I didn't even mention, but he made a robotics bay, which means we're going to see Colossi. Oh, that is awesome. But wow, look at White Ra being aggressive, going for the back door, and he's got a lot of units that are just going to be able to be warped in really quickly here with his 4 warp gates. And he's chrono boosting them on top of it all. So he's going to pump out a crap ton of units. He's got the money stockpiled for it. And it looks like Assem has realized at this point what's going on. He sees that his destructible rocks... Oh, he scouts it out with a probe. He sees where the destructible rocks are almost down. Is he going to be able to get the Colossus out in time? It looks like he is. It's going to be just so close. And he may get pylon blocked in a second as he loses his pylon. Let's see what happens here. Yes, he's in the red. Uh-oh, that's not good. He is going to make another Colossus. A lot of sentries out on the field, though, and it looks like that's going to block things a little bit. Those Zealots being blocked in, but, you know, that Colossus is pretty decent range, so he's going to be able to continue to attack anyway. Maybe even protecting the Colossus due to that move of the force fields. But wow, White Ra already picking off all the units of Assem. Oh my goodness, he is streaming in more, and this is not looking good for Assem, as he is in danger of going down 4-0 at this point to White Ra. And again, this is a best of 9, so we're at least going to a game 5, but Assem has got to pick it up a little bit here if he's going to stay in this matchup. And White Ra, I mean, he's got Assem's got a Colossus. He's going to have a second one, but he's being chased down by those Stalkers at this point. So he's not going to be able to keep that Colossus for too much longer. It's only going to be able to get a couple more shots off. White Ra, majority of his units still alive. Looks like the next Colossus is about to pop out, but they're going to be right there to pick him off. And oh man, it's just a bad position for Assem to be in at this point, and I think that's going to be it. GG coming from Assem. Game 4 is in the history books. Hope you guys enjoyed. We're going to go on to a Game 5 at the very least. See you there.